The United States has had a fluctuating commitment to climate action, depending on its political leadership. Given this inconsistency, how can SIDS rely on any promises or aid from the United States, knowing its climate commitments may change every election cycle?
So the United States, we just want to be, while it changes, because we want to be sure for president, like our current president who will be elected, we want to be sure that we agree with climate change. We don't want to reduce climate change, but we don't want to lose jobs because it could be because of humans, right? Which is why we are which is why we have fluctuating opinions. The SIDs can be sure because we have already donated a lot of funds and have already started helping. Like we have partnered with WMO, the World Meteorological Organization, to create flood awareness. Like it's a system where it can check whenever there is a flood about to arrive, and it can check with them. So it depends on the future what will happen with our presidential elections. But for right now, the USA is with the SIDs and has.
India's fast-growing economy has a substantial carbon footprint. How does India plan to balance its development needs with its commitment to support SIDS in addressing climate change? Does the government acknowledge any responsibility for contributing to the challenges faced by vulnerable nations?
Okay, to address that, India recognizes the urgent need to combat climate change and its support to climate justice. We have also pledged to achieve net zero emissions by 2070 and generate 50% of its energy from renewable resources by 2050 as well. And we will also be ensuring that no country is left behind in utilizing these solutions. Coming to the SIDs, we are a part of the Paris Agreement, and unlike other countries as well who might not have stood on their pledges, we have been working towards that goal day by day. Being a part of the Green Climate Fund as well, we are aiding the SIDs in all ways possible. Hope that answers your question.
Does Russia intend to continue capitalizing on climate impacts for its benefit, knowing that this stance may isolate it globally and mark it as an antagonist to a small, vulnerable nation facing existential threats?
As the Russian Federation strongly believes that although there are benefits to the Russian Federation's personal economy and GDP due to the rising sea levels and the rising global warming, but and as Russia also strongly believes that there are more important social and economic issues such as poverty and unemployment. Nonetheless, the Russian government has implemented a number of climate mitigation initiatives, such as that, and they recognize the gravity of the situation. By encouraging the peaceful use of nuclear energy, Russia, also being the world's first nuclear plant builder and the 9th largest producer of renewable energy, it has helped developing nations cut back on the uses of fossil fuels. However, Russia also argues that it is one of the world's biggest supplier of fossil fuels and many economies' sole source of energy, and therefore it does not need to impose any stringent climate action plans and regulations. Considering Russia's strategic demographic factors, by 2050, the forests are projected to sequester twice the amount of carbon that they actually do now. This indicates that the total emissions need not to be reduced to zero, but only to be cut in half.
In renewable energy, but remains a major investor in coal projects, both domestically and abroad. How does China justify these conflicting actions, especially when they pose risks to vulnerable nations facing climate-induced destruction? Will China prioritize profit from coal investments or its international responsibility as a major power in climate leadership?
By 2060, China has committed to reduce its carbon emissions to 0%. And China will be even launching some projects like waste to energy projects for the production of the renewable energy. Plus, China will be even funding the SIDs, and not only the developed nations, but even developing nations can provide not financial aid, but any type of aid from its citizens to the SIDs in times of danger. Plus, we have one of the best universities like MumbaiMUN. We are currently going into deep research of the ocean and the SIDs. Thank you.
China is still the largest manufacturer. How do you plan on cutting out to zero emissions by 2060?
We are gonna introduce certain policies for the companies because there are many companies in China dependent on coal. So China is thinking from coal to renewable energy like solar energy, wind energy, then hydro energy, and one more project which China will be launching is waste to energy. In that waste to energy, the trash in a metal box, when it is burnt, it produces energy, which produces electricity, and the black ash which is left can be used to create roads. So that's a.
Maldives often highlights rising sea levels as an existential threat. Yet the country's own water pollution and coral reef destruction contribute to environmental vulnerability. How can the Maldives address its internal pollution issues before blaming the global community?
The delegate of Maldives would like to state this mostly happens because of tourism, and we are working on that as mentioned in my other speeches, creating new initiatives on working on green tourism and many other initiatives to stop this.
How do you plan on doing it? How do you plan on reducing the environmental damage?
By suppose what?
Methods called on major polluting countries to take greater responsibility for climate change. Yet, its own tourism and fishing industries put significant pressure on its marine ecosystems and coral reefs. Is Mauritius prepared to impose restrictions on these industries to protect its environment and demonstrate true climate leadership, even if it impacts the economy?
Actually, we are planning to implement substantial tourism policies that would protect natural resources while supporting the local economy, which we are planning to do by taking measures such as enforcing regulations to limit pollution and ecological disturbance from the tourism activities, promoting eco-friendly tourism options such as reef-safe sunscreens and sustainable transport.
Known for its advanced environmental policies, but remains one of the world's largest oil refining hubs. How does Singapore reconcile its economic reliance on fossil fuels with its call for global climate action, especially when advocating for the well-being of SIDS?
Singapore is investing in solar energy with a goal to install 2 gigawatt peak of solar capacity by 2030 to replace the usage of oil.
Okay, thank you.